All right, so Tim Drake. Hi, Tim Drake. Tim Drake sent you money. Tim Drake
It's really
put
nice
in
of
a
him.
$5.
I got money from Red Robin.
Yes.
I don't eat hamburgers anymore, but if I did, I could spend it at Red Robin.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So Tim Drake put in a $5 super chat and said, Cap, I put Amazing Spider-Man 2 as my number 2 and made my friend put it in his top 5.
Wait.
You're the one.
You stacked it. You made your friend. You stacked the deck on us.
Specifically because Austin trashes it way too much. It's not that bad. And then Austin came in and said it is that bad. And then Tim Drake put in $20 and said, false, sir.
Well, thank you for giving me money to give Austin crap.
Yeah.
I really appreciate that, and I hope that becomes a tradition on the channel. But anyway, I think two things can be true at the same time. This is just my personal opinion. I think it is true that Amazing Spider-Man 2, with respect to you, and I see, it sounds like he's being hilariously disingenuous, where let's not take this exercise too seriously, where he would not have put that second on his list if he wasn't trying to, kind of stab Austin in the heart. So I don't know. I think it's really funny, but I think it is true that is an absurd placement for Amazing Spider-Man 2. I don't understand that. There's even if you don't think it's terrible, there's a lot of better superhero movies than that. But
my question is, what is your number 1?
But it also is true to me personally, Austin and Tim Drake, that Amazing Spider-Man 2 is not as insanely terrible as people made it out to be when it came out. Like it's not good.
I think it's more got some funny bad moments.
But it was head scratching to me how over the top it was, but especially in the opening where I was like, "Oh, this is a cartoon! Like, what is happening?"
Yeah.
And Electro was embarrassing.
Yes.
But there are things in it I enjoyed.
Yeah.
And I thought there was some kind of creative stuff with the soundtrack with the Electro stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, just go to score like, oh, the score is good. I thought
if that's the only good thing.
I liked some of those early scenes with Peter Parker and Harry Osborn. They're kind of rekindling their friendship. I liked their casting choice for Norman Osborn. Some of the action I think was okay.
Yeah, I think Norman Osborn in that is good.
Yeah, like I liked stuff in it. And like you said, there's crazy over the top stuff that is not what I want, but I was kind of entertained by.
Yeah.
So like I didn't understand the vitriol and the insane backlash when it came out. I also think it's worse for not having a sequel, because I think it wasn't unsalvageable, and I think they could have turned it around after that. Now I don't like. And starting with that first one. Also, Austin really doesn't like Amazing in the first place, and so we're already coming at this at a different place, at kind of cross purposes. So like I liked the regular part of the origin, the Uncle Ben death and all of that, and
that's like the best way they've handled that, in my opinion.
And see, I don't go that far. I prefer the traditional one, certainly, and I thought it was like slightly convoluted, but all the stuff about Peter starting initially, I've talked about this a lot, but initially starting as kind of a almost revenge seeker, and then turning that around on the bridge with that kid, I thought that was all wonderful. But anyway, so when you get into 2, like I'm already more with it and more invested, but all the stuff with the parents was kind of nonsense, and I didn't like that from the start. So yeah, like I don't like it. It's bad. It's more than a mixed bag. Like I say bad. Is it straight up bad? It's kind of bad, but it's not like
it's not as bad as
god awful.
I mean, there are worse superhero movies.
There
are also better.
I will just say,
movies.
and people are gonna think I'm being just disingenuous when you say this. This is just for my own personal enjoyment. And this is not me trying to throw rocks at the viewers that have given me crap about this. I would rather watch it over Spider-Man 3. I don't even know if it's technically a better movie, but I would rather watch it over Spider-Man 3.
I think I agree.
That's just me.
I think Spider-Man agree.
Anyway, let's get into some Would You Rather.
Sure. Let's do some Would You Rathers from your post.
Could you start with Hot Soup Super Chat?
Oh, yeah, I was going to, and then I just forgot. Yeah.
Sorry, I forgot the gong.
So let's start
for
with
the
the Super Chat.
Amazing Spider-Man 2.
We got
discussion.
$5 from Hot Soup. Would you rather have a permanent smile or a permanent Bane voice?
Can I have both? Could I be
Bane.
Could I be Nicholson Joker? And when he walks in, like Nicholson Joker, when we first see him in the getup, and he walks in to kill Jack Palance, to kill what's his face, Carl Grissom, and he goes, "And as you can see, I'm a lot happier." I want that. I want to just do all the.
What a lovely voice.
I'm only smiling on the outside. You're laughing. My smile is just skin deep.
Oh no.
You might want to join me for a week. Yeah, I want both. But yeah, if I had to pick between those, I guess practically it'd be the smile, right?
Yeah.
Be easier to get around. I think
easier to understand you.
Hilariously, I think people could take you more seriously with that smile than that voice.
I think so. Now,
and one of these, and if you wanted to be intimidating, one of these is intimidating and one of these is not.
Sure.
The Bane voice, for anybody that doesn't know where I'm going with this, is the one that's not.
No. Strawberries. Are back with
fiber. Okay.
Gary.
That
Pizza.
is Hot Soup. That's my favorite Would You Rather in a long time, and I'm gonna be really surprised if anybody can beat that.
Gotham City's not even known for it.
Right, go ahead.
Okay, we have Would You Rather from John Henry. Would you rather have all Marvel content be Thanos snapped out of existence? Thanos would be gone as well. Or
and then he can't wear this top hat.
Right. Or all of DC be Thanos snapped out of existence.
Okay, does he mean movies or comics or what?
Just all Marvel content or all DC content.
Okay, well then, I mean, that's a really convoluted or like complicated way to say, do you prefer DC or Marvel, right?
Yeah.
Like,
yes.
Like, help me figure out if there's anything more complex. I'm overthinking this. About this question beyond just what your personal preference is.
Right.
Right? Like,
I think this is more which one would you rather have gone?
Because my whole thing is, my answer always to Marvel or DC has been Batman. So if you get rid of DC, you don't have Batman, and I can't have that. So I would sacrifice Marvel for Batman.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to say, but I would.
But then you don't have the truth anymore, which is I am Iron Man.
Well, that's the thing, is when you're looking on the movie side, then you end up with a unfortunate, more dull history of superhero movies.
Yeah, you do.
Because you don't have the MCU, but you do have the Batman movies, so I guess that's good.
Yeah.
And then it's unfortunate to sacrifice either side with comics, obviously, and a lot of my favorite ones and things have been Marvel things, but again, I don't know that I can lose Batman.
I'd have to go with DC, just because DC doesn't have X-Men. So
yeah, sure.
Yes, my favorite superhero movie is the Batman.
So when you say go with, you're saying you have to get rid of DC.
I have to get rid of DC.
You'd rather hang on to Marvel because you got to have X-Men. So you would even sacrifice Batman and Batgirl and all that stuff, as hard as that is.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I'm not as much of an Avengers guy, but I think X-Men is my favorite superhero thing. At least right now, I mean.
Austin says it's also tough because if you delete DC from history, then Marvel wouldn't exist.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, but when he says Thanos snap, it doesn't get rid of everything going all the way back. If we're talking about, do you see what I'm saying?
Okay, well then that just means who would you rather make more future content?
Yeah, like
I guess
he didn't say Spider-Man Mephisto.
Right. He meant Thanos.
See, I wasn't thinking of it like that. I wasn't thinking like it never existed. I'm thinking just you lose it now.
So
well,
definitely
okay,
Marvel.
no, sorry, because I did say like history of superhero movies gets weird. I guess I was sort of thinking both when I said that, but it's So yeah, if you lose the history of all of it going all the way back, it is harder to lose Marvel, but I still would probably end up picking that.
If you're going with like the future, I would get rid of Marvel in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Because I'd rather find out what Gunn's doing than what they're doing with Doomsday and Secret Wars.
Yeah, I mean, I want a clean slate with that anyway.
Yeah.
And like we already have had good Marvel.
Yeah.
So if we had to stop now and never get any more,
This is the time.
I'm more
Honestly,
okay
5 years ago was the time. But...
with never getting any more with that than DC, because DC has all these characters that have never had good movies, even if they've had movies, or have never gotten the definitive take I'd like to see, or anything close to it. Even if you like Aquaman, you could do a more off the page Aquaman. I almost said even if you like The Flash, but that's like, not a lot of people.
The Flash, like the movie? Yeah, no.
Yeah. Anyway, so moving right along.
Let's do Austin's.
Okay, here comes Austin's.
Would you rather see your favorite supervillain become a hero or your favorite superhero become bad?
And of course, a lot of my favorite characters we've done this with, both with villains and heroes.
Yeah.
Whenever we make Batman a straight up bad guy, I tend not to like him.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that done super well. Like, I like Batman Who Laughs more than some people, but it, like, when you say favorite, I guess besides the Tick, Batman is my favorite superhero. And like a bad Tick would be kind of interesting. I don't even know what that looks like.
It'd be better than that friggin' Arthur episode.
Yeah, I don't know if we've ever done that.
No.
I mean, maybe there's a comic somewhere I haven't read that does it, but I can't think of anything.
Yeah.
But anyway, and then
we've only had Barry, if that counts.
Yeah, and like when we do it with Spider-Man with Venom, that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And then with, I'm just thinking like some of my favorite heroes, because there's history and precedent for a lot of these, right? So you don't even have to go off of just guesswork of like what it might look like. A lot of it we've just done, right? Mm-hmm. We've had, say, not that this is like my absolute favorite villain, but we've done. Oh, and I guess we've done that too. Sorry, we've done Magneto as kind of a hero, of course, back and forth. And that's always interesting. So I guess it just depends on who the character is. So, like, when you say, when Austin says your favorite hero or villain, you kind of have to look at the specific ones, I guess.
Yeah.
As opposed to just, is it more interesting to see heroes go bad or bad guys go good? Now, more generalized, would you have an answer for that? Like, which of those is more interesting generally? Good guys going bad or bad guys going good?
I'm gonna say good guys going bad. Because my favorite that's
so the tragic fall as opposed to the redemption.
Yeah, that's the main reason I like, and people are gonna disagree with me on this, but that's the main reason I like Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah.
Because I think that works.
I think you're right, and I think it's harder to go the other way because a lot of the time we talk about this a lot, but it's the anti-hero thing where a character becomes too popular, and now we have to sanitize them or we feel like we have to sanitize them so they can carry their own stories. Yes. So we do this with Venom, and we do this with Harley Quinn, and we do this with Deadpool, and
what the heck happened with Harley Quinn,
et cetera, et cetera. Not that Deadpool was ever a straight-up villain, but he has to be more sympathetic in things, especially the movies, because he's popular. And people have to relate to him in some way, even though the whole point initially was that you can't. Mm-hmm. But anyway, and then hilariously, Galactus we've done this with.
Huh?
Yeah, the Orange Lifebringer Galactus, where instead of destroying planets, he's basically like Genesis from Wrath of Khan, and he makes dead planets come alive.
He's orange?
Yes, he's orange. And I hated that idea at first, and then I read it, and I kind of dug it. That was Ultimate Squared.
That's really funny.
Yeah,
That is a terrible name for anything.
Yeah, and that whole thing was weird because it wasn't even in the Ultimates universe, but in the Ultimate universe because that was already gone by then. But yeah, anyway, Austin, interesting question. He says he's been reading a lot of Thunderbolt, so it's been on his mind. That makes sense.
Wow.
Well, let's keep going.
Thunderbolt.
Unless you wanted to answer that with any specific character, sorry.
I think it would be cool to see a bad guy Gambit.
I'm sure we've done that somewhere.
Probably.
Well, and
also
Gambit,
Joker Gambit would be awesome.
And to be fair, Gambit has been in that anti-hero territory, of course, because he's such a roguelike character.
Yes.
Which is funny to say because he dates
Rogue,
but you know what I mean.
Yes.
But he's that like, can you trust him? Can you not? Kind of character when you first meet him.
Yeah, I don't know what
he's like a Han Solo type.
Favorite bad guy in superheroes is. I don't actually know.
Well.
Yeah.
Is it a Batman villain? Is it a Spider-Man
Riddler
villain
or something? It's definitely not a Spider-Man villain.
Is it an X-Men villain?
It might be.
Who would your favorite X-Men villain be?
I mean, it's probably just Juggernaut, but
right.
I mean, I do like Juggernaut.
Okay, well then we know who your favorite villain is. It's Juggernaut. Yeah, there you go.
I don't want Juggernaut to turn good though, because whenever that kind of happens, it's weird. So that happens a little bit.
Yeah, we've definitely done that. All right, moving right along.
We have
good question.
Would you rather from One Reply. This is a complicated one.
Oh boy, here we go. Strap in, folks. Take notes.
Would you rather witness Charles Xavier abandon his dream of peaceful coexistence between mutants and humans, or see Jean-Luc Picard renounce diplomacy and peaceful exploration in favor of a preemptive military/Section 31-like strategy as Starfleet's new standard?
So basically what you're saying is, which franchise would I rather like to see tanked by ruining my favorite character in said franchise, played by Patrick Stewart?
Yes.
That's the question. Okay. I can live with X-Men being ruined in that way more than I can see it with Star Trek, because I've seen it with Star Trek, and my eyes will never heal. So I mean, I've sort of seen it with Star, New Trek certainly. You could argue that Picard sort of does that in Picard. I just kind of look at it as he's a completely different character, and I don't know what the hell I'm looking at. But we also have seen Xavier give up, or at least half give up, where he gets more cynical and says, okay, maybe like in comics, the Hickman run kind of does this, and I haven't read a lot of that, but the start of it is we start going more in Magneto's direction, where he doesn't look at mutants as superior to the rest of humanity, and he's not trying to take them over, but he's now more down with take all the mutants off into their own space, and not trying to peacefully cohabitate anymore, because it just hasn't been working. And that's sad, and it's interesting to see him get to that place. I wouldn't want him to stay there, certainly, and I don't know where all that eventually went. But I guess what I'm saying is, when I started, I said, which of these universes am I more okay with seeing tanked that way? I think you are tanking that with Star Trek in a way that you're not necessarily with X-Men. Like, Xavier can be morally ambiguous in a way I have a really hard time seeing Picard being. You can make anything work. So, I mean, you could see him written into that place where he starts to question his principles and Starfleet Prime Directive, etc., but going all the way to he's cool with a military state and Section 31 is in charge. I don't even say how you get him there, unless you're like, at that point you're making almost like a what if kind of thing.
Yeah.
And you're going into injustice sort of territory.
Yeah, so I kind of disagree with you on this. I think the whole point of X-Men is Xavier versus Magneto's thoughts on mutant versus human politics.
Yeah.
And I think without that, X-Men is just kind of bland.
Yeah, you haven't read the Hickman stuff. It's really interesting, but
yeah, and obviously there are other stories than that, but I think that's like the best stuff in X-Men that I've seen.
Sure.
And also I would love to see a TNG like mirror universe story, and that's what that would be. So, or like a series of TNG mirror universe.
Right, but now you're cheating because I'm fine with either of these ideas as alternate reality stories.
Sure. I guess.
But if you're talking about main canon, which of these things am I more okay with seeing that kind of tragic fall?
Sure.
It's, for me, definitely not Picard.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm also just sore and my feelings are hurt over what New Trek did with him and what it did with Section 31 and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I also see Xavier as a more morally ambiguous character who is certainly most of the time stubborn about that, but I guess I could see him having his mind changed more than I could see Picard having his mind changed.
Yeah, that makes sense.